Hello, Nonprofit Connect members. As a part of our Nonprofit Coffee Break series, we sit down with a different nonprofit professional each month over a cup of coffee to really learn from their experiences and highlight them and their organization. Today, we are sitting down with Vincent Nguyen, the Development Director of Cultivate KC. Vincent, I'm so happy to have you on today.
Thanks, I appreciate you having me.
So could you tell me a little bit about Cultivate KC and your role there?
Okay. Well, my role, like you said, is the development director. What we do at Cultivate Kansas City is, what I like to tell people is that we work for the entire food system as a whole. We work from the beginning where farmers are growing the food all the way to getting the food on people's tables that absolutely need it. And so we have food access programs that allow us to be able to reach more out into the community, to be able to get fresh produce on people's plates. And then moving backwards, we work with farmers with technical assistance programs to be able to support them in being successful in their farming programs.
So how does that work? If I'm a farmer and I need educational assistance because I'm unsure of what to do next, do I come to you guys then, or do I apply to take part in a program or something?
We have a variety of different tools that we offer to farmers. We have a mini grants program, which allows us to be able to help with their farming efforts, whether it be like farming equipment, tools, whatever they may need to get their farming or their farms to the next level.
Wow. So can you give me an example? Well, first, how long have you worked there?
I've actually been with Cultivate Kansas City for about a year now.
Wow.
I joined up right in the middle of the pandemic. So it's been an interesting ride for the last year.
Yeah, so how was that? Was it kind of crisis mode from day one because of COVID?
Yes, but I mean, relatively speaking, I think a lot of nonprofits always operate in kind of a crisis mode, so it's nothing that is completely new.
Right. Do you have a day specifically that you can think of that you felt the most proud of your work?
If you're thinking about my experience at Cultivate Kansas City in general, I do, in development work, I do a lot of work in the community. I work with donors, I work with grant makers, funders, that sort of thing. And so I don't get to see a lot of the client work that we do. But actually recently we went out and helped build a wash stand for one of our farmers. She received mini grant funding from us, and so she was able to buy a carport. So it's covered, a stainless steel wash basin and everything like that to set up in her farm so that she can have an operation that is basically taken to the next level with what they're growing out there.
Wow. So specifically, what does that entail, a wash stand? Is that where she can clean the produce after she grows it?
Exactly. So once they harvest the produce, they take it over to their wash stand and prep it and put it into coolers and get ready to sell.
Wow, cool. So where do they sell? Are you guys partners with farmers markets in town? I mean, do you have a grocery store pipeline?
Farmers markets, mainly, all over town. So you'll see most of them, the farmers that we support at like the Brookside Farmers Market, River Market, Overland Park. I think Olathe has one. And so you'll see a lot of our farmers out there selling their produce.
Do you guys grow anything yourself as a nonprofit, or is it all working with other farmers on their farms?
We grow produce out here on Westport, at our Westport Commons farm, right out here on outside of the Plexpod building. We have about an acre and a half of farmland right now that we are in like full production mode this year.
Wow, that's got to be pretty cool.
Yeah, so it's been a great year so far. We have a lot of variety of different produce that we've got going on out there, and we have a farm stand, pop-up farmers market that we have every couple weeks now to sell a lot of the produce.
Oh, that's cool. And the proceeds go back to you as a nonprofit to help?
Yes, to help operate.
That's awesome. So what is the biggest challenge that you face in your role, or even as an organization?
The biggest challenge, I think, I mean, my perspective is pretty limited to the development challenges. And so 2020 presented a lot of new challenges when it comes to development. That's an understatement. And so just trying to get in front of people, trying to find funders that are still giving, trying to find new funders, and just maintaining the donor base that you currently have. How do you engage with donors when you can't see them?
So how do you engage with donors when you can't meet them? I mean, what have you been doing the past year?
Lots and lots of Zoom calls, emails, phone calls, basically anything that I can do to keep in touch with them. And so, I mean, it's been good and bad. I mean, obviously, like the bad parts are just not being able to see them in person. And so it's easy for people just to be like, click, I'm not going to respond to the email. At the same time, though, sometimes people are more willing to engage with you via email or via Zoom call because it's a more comfortable environment around for them to be able to speak in.
I would have never thought that trend would come to fruition like that, because in my head, oh, you can't meet people, you can't tour farms.
I think if 2020 has a theme, I think unintended consequences would be it.
Yeah, and hopefully a couple silver linings can come out of it. So what sort of work are you doing as a nonprofit that kind of directly impacts the diverse community in Kansas City? I mean, has there been any like concerted, meaningful efforts on your guys' behalf?
Yeah, we have a program called New Roots for Refugees that basically invites refugees to come and learn a little bit more about how to farm in the Midwest. A lot of the refugees that come over to Kansas City have agriculture experience that they have from their native countries. And so they're able to apply that experience with the climate and the farmland here and combine that so that they can be successful farmers. And like I said, it's a 4-year training program. We have an 80% success rate of people still farming after the program is over.
That's really cool, especially their ability to come in and have a program like you guys to kind of take them under their wing with something that they already kind of know how to do and adapt it to Kansas City, Kansas, or KC Mo. Talk about helpful. Okay, change of gears. If you were a new nonprofit professional, say somebody who just graduated college and was looking to join the nonprofit sector, do you have any advice or anything you wish you would have known X amount of years ago?
Okay, so there's a couple of things. The cliche of always be passionate about the work that you do. The other part of it is meet everybody that you can possibly meet. The whole adage of it's not what you know, it's who you know. It definitely rings true in the nonprofit community. All the jobs that I've ever pursued in my career have always been associated with somebody that I had a relationship with. And particularly working in development, the whole job is based off of relationship building. And so, looking at wanting to join in the nonprofit sector, if you don't know anybody at all, find somebody. It's really easy to be able to. Well, one, it's difficult to ask somebody to be a mentor, but once you start asking, you'll find that it's very easy for people to accept you as a mentee. I've had a couple mentees myself. I've had plenty of mentors myself, and that probably is the most beneficial thing that has helped me with my career.
So how did you get started in development? Out of all the things open to you in the great way of life, why fundraising? Why development?
Well, I went to graduate school to study nonprofit management, and so while I was there, one of my mentors essentially told me that if I wanted a career in nonprofits, that I needed to be a fundraiser before anything else, because obviously without fundraising, you wouldn't have an organization. And so I took that to heart, and I pursued a job in development, and have not changed since. I really like it, so.
Okay, 2 questions left. 1, what is your favorite nonprofit Connect resource?
The jobs board. I think everybody and their brother that works in the nonprofit sector looks at the jobs board. It's basically one of like maybe 2 resources to look for nonprofit jobs in Kansas City. And so everybody that I know that works at any organization that has a job opening will post there first.
Okay, last thing. If you could talk to all of Kansas City with a megaphone and have them actually listen to you, what would you tell them? What's your call to action for Kansas City? What do you want them to do?
Support Cultivate Kansas City.
How?
Well, I mean, obviously support Cultivate Kansas City by volunteering. We have a lot of different volunteer opportunities at various farms. Obviously give. But, in general, I think that 2020 has really opened up a lot of cracks in our community, and there's a lot of potential for people to give back in various ways. And so looking at those exposed cracks, just get out there and do something. If there's a cause or if there's a problem in Kansas City, there's an organization that tries to help it get resolved. And so whatever your passion is, just go out there and try to find a volunteer opportunity or just give to whatever organization you think would help the community the most.
Vincent, thank you so much for taking a little bit of time out of your day to come down and chat with us. It's been a pleasure to have you here. And to all of our Nonprofit Connect members, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time. And remember, we are better together. Cheers.